All right, folks. Saturday morning painting session can now commence. We will see how many we have this morning, depending on if we get disconnected or not. Kind of seems like a variable now. Okay. All right, so the other day we left off with one of these guys being completely done. We may do some trim there on his clothing. That's where we're going to pick up. We're done with him. Let's go do these other guys. Now the metal is still there, so hopefully that'll be still good for us to use when we get around to doing that. All right, well, we got a mess on our hands here. Let's clean up some of this stuff. Let's see how long it takes for people to get in here. We get the party started. Okay, so the last guy we used for the clothing, we used this one, this stone gray, which I believe is over here. That sounds about right. And we mixed it with black. So what we're going to do is, this is a darker skinned figure. So let's use a color that's a little lighter. Let's maybe move to this green gray. I don't know what kind of a green it has to it, but just something of his base. And then do we have a brown that's alive? We don't. Let's go ahead and get a chocolate brown, get some of that on here. Okay, we're going to use that as the darkener. But we haven't used this color in a while. But I need to motivate that a little bit more. I guess I probably need to have more than one needle up here. Here it is. People always worry, man, if you use a needle, you could poke yourself. Nope, that's never the issue, unless I fall on it. Because we make sure we file the end down. Lots of people freak out about that. Maybe they just want to hurt themselves more than I want to hurt myself. I love using pins and needles and all that stuff for in this instead of spears. They work really well. I've never drawn blood with my own troops. Just run them over a file. It's not a big deal. And they're extremely durable. The first army I used that on, well, one of the first armies I used it on was my Armenians. And my cataphracts have them. I've played almost 80 games with them and never had any of them bend. So it's extremely durable. I recommend people do that. You know what's actually, I think, really easy to hurt yourself with is if you end up buying some miniatures like from, say, Old Glory. Old Glory, some of their cataphracts come with wire to use for the spears. And the wire is very, if you looked at it closely, it's very, very pokey. And that is really easy to really do a number on yourself. But again, it might be one of those things where you end up hurting yourself because you don't respect it. You know, a big old needle, you're going to have to file the end of it, or you're going to end up wishing you hadn't, wishing that you hadn't forgotten. But with a piece of wire, you're like, it's just a piece of wire. What could happen? Well, you could end up poking yourself because it's pretty barbed. They're just snipped off when you get them in the pack. So I don't do anything with those things. I usually just throw them away. I think some of my Goths came with them as well. Who we got here? Harvey Gurnt. That's some rule debate on the DBA Facebook page. Well, I started looking, and it was all answered in the FAQ. And, two of the people that were arguing for it are actually on the FAQ group. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't care how you play the rules, as long as you're consistent. You can also just say, well, we're going to ignore the FAQ. But just allowing people to that whole getting closer by exposing a flank is asinine. You can play the game however you want, but that is just fraught with problems. Fraught with problems. But you got a lot of people on there that like to debate things and have never played a game. And like I said, it's really similar to somebody who's, read the textbook and thinks they can practice medicine. You can, just don't operate on me. I'd rather have somebody with experience. Good. People are waking up. Much appreciated. Ian White. I don't know if I've always done that. Over-pronunciate the H in white. I like it. It's what makes me me. It's one of the things that makes me me. Welcome, Mr. White. Scott pointed that out when we were playing. I don't think anybody had ever done that before. Maybe in my older age, I've become more eccentric in my pronunciation of things. We all have our mannerisms. Good morning to you, sirs. Oh, we're going to do fun stuff. I enjoy doing this the cloth stuff. It's making things look like cloth they aren't cloth. They're just little lead men. What would be the proper way of calling these things now? And I don't mean lead persons. I mean, they're not lead anymore. They're pewter, white metal figures, white metal. I always call it lead. Lead mountain. Pile of white metal doesn't sound as well. Cool Whip. That's a good philosophy about gaming, Tony. Which one? About the experience? Well, it's true. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I'm not going to pat my own back, but I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. I think one of my biggest strengths is being uncorruptible and fair. You know, I've played many games. It's like, okay, what are the rules? Not like, well, this benefits me, so I'm going to, you know, that's why some people are surprised that we play with cocked dice. What's the problem? Just always play with them. Now, if you're, I don't want to put a bunch of guys out here, but you have a field of like pikemen, and you roll the dice, and the dice falls in the middle of the pikemen, and none of them are touching the ground, and it's at an angle. Yeah, you can't play that one because you really don't know which side's up. But if you got a dice that's sitting on the side of a figure, you know, let's be honest with yourself. You know what you rolled. So, but there's a lot of people out there, you know, that have moral dilemmas and can be swayed. And I'm just not one of those people. Now, I may not get the rules right, you know, because I'll be honest with you, in the 8th grade, I absolutely hated diagramming sentences and still do. But I want to get it right, you know, so, but anyhow, there's people that, for whatever reason, they want their own, they have an agenda. And I used to say this all the time in DBA 2.2. You know, DBA 2.2 still had DBM in it, right? And there were some armies, I'll use artillery as an example, that got an artillery piece in DBA 2.2, but in DBM, they had hardly any artillery to merit that. And other armies may have had more options for artillery, but didn't have it. I'll use an example. I'll pick on our English brothers. In 2.2, the English 100 Years' War Army can have an artillery piece. Fair enough, they used them. But there's other armies in DBM that have more artillery available to them than the DBM 100 Years' War English, but yet they didn't get the option for artillery. Like, come on, man, be consistent. You know? That's all. Just be consistent, be fair. You know? There's a lot of people with that problem in the world, and that's why we're in the mess that we're in. The messes that we're in. That's why I don't listen to the news. I don't care what you listen to. You're being manipulated and spun one way or the other. I don't care if you tell me what I want to hear. Tell me the truth. You know? You're rather picky about who I play. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't play with people that smell. Okay, so if you guys don't wear deodorant, I'm not going to see you across the battlefield from me. You can be nerdy. I don't have a problem with that. If we can't agree on interpretation, then probably don't want to play that person again. Problem solved. Well, you sound rather inflexible. I'm willing to look at both sides, but, you know, you can't. I think most of our players feel the same way. They want to, you know, I don't know. Some of them maybe get a little confused because they play too many other rule sets. It's really unsatisfying to play a game wrong. At least for me, it's extremely unsatisfying. It's like as we used to, if you watched any of our videos, I said, you know, Luke and I like the kid. Oh, it's another asterisk, meaning you won, but. So, it happens. Yeah, I don't play with stinky people. Sorry. Okay. the colors on the colors on here don't translate super well. They it looks whiter on here than it does on the screen, but you guys will see it'll look better when you have the pictures. I'm just going to go ahead and finish these guys one at a time, instead of just doing all the cloths. It's a little bit more exciting for me that way. So I actually should take a piece of tape and label these what I use them for, because this one is behaving so well for this that I don't want to use it for something else. So when we go back to cloths, we'll use that one. And this is a little bit more rustic, so we can use this guy right here. See, this is the nice thing about the wet palette. I can, if I move and go do something else, I still have these colors I can work off of, which means I'm not constantly pouring this base and drying out. So let's go over here to buff corner, which is where we got the spears. And I believe we use black. I'm fine using all the colors. I wanted a lighter color javelins or whatever. You're a grumpy old man. Well, aren't we all? I'm not the old part. I don't get it. I'm definitely grumpy at work, but this is what I enjoy doing, so I don't think I'm grumpy when I play, because this is the thing I enjoy doing pretty much more than anything else. So if you're not having a good time playing this, then there's no hope for you. We used to, back when there was freedom in 2019, we used to cruise a lot. Well, not a lot. We used to cruise once a year. We didn't for a long time, and then it took us like 9 years to get back in the swing of things. But we'd take a cruise every year. And there's no better vacation than a cruise, because you don't have you don't have anything to worry about. There's no issues, Oh man, I forgot my wallet. Well, you don't need it on a cruise. Or if you forgot something, just go back to your room, But there's people that get on there that are just in a bad mood. Well, if you're having a bad time on a cruise, you don't need to go on one. I mean, so. Yeah, it's a perfect vacation for me, because you don't have anything to worry about. Not that, I wouldn't mind going to see other places, but, Yeah, there's people that are having a grumpy time. I guess I don't realize some people go on cruises and gamble and have this idea that they're going to win things, and, reality sets in. Guess what? House always wins. You're not the house. Have a blessed day, But I'm not a gambler. I don't even like taking risks in this game that you don't win anything. So why would I do that with money? I just don't have the personality type for that. So, I like the fact that DBA is quite abstract, but now I play for fun with grandkids and their friends. I wish it wasn't so abstract. That's why I have trouble understanding it sometimes. My background is not playing abstract games at all. I used to play a lot of naval warfare games. I'm a naval warfare junkie. And we would roll. I wanted specifically find out where it hit, what it penetrated at certain places. It's learning. You don't learn much from an abstract game. Maybe that's why I don't like it. I mean, I like DBA because you get things accomplished, but if you're playing some kind of a military simulation, I want it to have all kinds of details, because I want to learn about the period, or learn about, this, that, or the other, assuming the game's realistic, or supposedly realistic. Who knows how some of these things really were, but I don't do well with abstraction. I don't do well with abstract math. I don't do well with, I'm not an abstract person. Abstract art, I don't do well with that stuff. So, but that's okay. We're all made differently. I'll never forget. I was at this gaming convention. And I was playing this guy. It was a 4 or 5 day gaming convention. And I was playing this person who's, I'm going to be honest with you, they're a lot smarter than I am. I don't consider myself dumb or even average. Sorry. Maybe I am. I'm not good at everything, but that's okay. None of us are. But this particular person, I would say, is definitely had a higher IQ than me. He was more of a nerd burglar than I was. Anyhow. But on day one, they already smelled of BO. Okay. I don't give a frick how smart you are. If you can't put on deodorant in the morning, you have the wrong skill set, you know? So maybe it's better to not be so smart or specialized in one particular field. I'm never going to forget that. It's day one. It's early on day one. What's it going to tell me? They don't make deodorant in his size. Come on. Chess. I don't enjoy chess. I'm not programmed for chess. I'd rather go to work than play chess. It's not a game, you know? Some people are good at it. Some people aren't. It's okay. Some people can't handle with dice probabilities. I'll tell you what, I can. I mean, I like to screw with people with the dice. You know, like, you gonna switch dice? I don't switch dice. That's BS. It's more fun to not switch dice and see what happens. But some people are genuinely freaked out about it. My brother claims, who doesn't game with me, he claims, but he has. He claims that I have extremely good luck. I'm like, no, I don't. I just don't let the dice get to me. And lots of people let the dice get to them. I'd say most people let the dice get to them. So, when you're rolling dice, expect the unexpected. You know, a lot of it is your perception. If you write down what's happening, your results and stuff, you know, you get a much better idea than what if you just recall what happened. Like, just from recalling what happened, I'd say, you know, you tie your the dice scores get tied so often, a lot more than 1 in 6. You have 6 and 1 splits a lot more often than a 1 in 6 chance of it happening. But man, don't let the dice get to you. You know, you could also outroll the other person, but you know, sometimes it just isn't your night. You know, you're not going to win. It happens that way. And I just can't imagine like how running a casino would be, because not necessarily in DBA. I'm going to be honest with you. Almost every game I've played DBA, and I've played a lot of them, has been a pleasant experience. Now, I did a count one time, figured out how many different people I've played. Now, some people I may have only played one time because it was at a show. I played over 100 people for sure. And I'd say maybe only 3 I wish to never see the person again. Maybe 3. I don't even think it's even 3. It's definitely 1. It's 2 for sure. I'm not going to tell you who it is. But it's not that exciting. Probably never going to encounter them again. But you know, I think that's pretty good odds. DBA 1 was a breath of fresh air. I wish I would have gotten to play it, but then I didn't know about it, and I would have to unlearn stuff in it, so maybe it's a good thing I never played it. After the foibles of WRG 7, now that caused high dudgeon and migraines. You were taught grammar at school, including Latin. Oh, you think I'd be good at Latin? No. Trying to decipher Latin, knowing Spanish is no help at all. The mangling of the English language and its interpretation upsets me in the 21st century. I don't have a problem with Phil's writings. The problem is Phil. I don't have anything bad to say about